Five Dennis recommend Unbound Radio.
And it is that while the lethality of their power is greater than ever, their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. Namely, in earlier times, it was easier to control 1 million people. Literally, it was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
The smoke in the air of our Concord bridges and Pearl Harbors is always smelled first by the farmers who come from their simple homes to find the fire and fight.
But if you embark on instituting a society where government protection from yourself, you're in big trouble.
Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday edition of the Freedom Link right here on the Unbound Radio Network. I'm Joe Joseph, along with John King. Johnny, my man, well, we've got quite a smorgasbord of stuff to talk about tonight. Interestingly enough, folks, I have embarked upon starting to schedule guests on a fairly frequent basis, so now you'll start to hear things we're really going to step it up a notch as far as taking the fight to the New World Order. Absolutely. So Johnny and I we're in training right now. We're just kind of getting our stamina up and conditioning ourselves, and then they're in for it.
Well, Joe, gloves are off here.
That's right. Now, folks, again, this week I'm focusing on fear, and why you shouldn't be afraid, and why you really can't be afraid in the grand scheme of things, because fear is their ultimate tool of control. And I want to start off the night with a quote by Martin Luther King. A lot of people vilify Dr. King for, let's just say, well, he was put in jail because he broke the law. Well, here's a quote from him. He says, one may well ask, how can you advocate breaking some laws and obeying others? The answer lies in the fact that there are two types of laws, just and unjust. I would be the first to advocate obeying just laws. One has not only a legal but moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. Do you understand, folks, why it is so crucial to the powers that be to demoralize the country? The FCC just came out the other day saying that they're probably going to deregulate broadcast television as far as naughty words and nude scenes. So now, on primetime television, on network TV, you can have, it'll be like Fun Bags Are Us.
Oh, it'll be Canadian television, Joe. I mean, have you gone to Canada and watched their broadcast? I mean, they show breasts.
And
That's it.
Again, it's all well and good, but it just speaks volumes to where we're going in this country. And if you take morality out of things, what happens is you degenerate. And this is a great way to illustrate it. Because now you don't have that moral compass to say, you know what? I will not follow this law because I can't, because I'm morally against it. Right, John?
Well, Joe, to me, you might say that's taking morality out of television,
right?
And I can appreciate your point. I would say they're putting reality
into television. It harkens
back to the same argument that Yes, it harkens back to the same argument back in the days of the 50s and 60s when married couples on television like to say, for example, the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Right, we'll be right back.
Very much in love, a couple.
Hold that thought, John. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't go away. Johnny would talk us into the break if he had his choice.
For hundreds of years, an elite group of oligarchs have ruled the land, fueled by a legacy of sex, money, power, and greed. In the last 60 years, their power has become more consolidated as they have become more organized. Their very own white papers and other documents show the diabolic plans they have in store for the population. Shade the Motion Picture, an Embellis and Burmis film, featuring Shepard Embellis, Jason Burmis, Alex Jones, Clyde Lewis, Webster Tarpley, Jordan Maxwell, Rosalind Peterson, Michael Murphy, reggae artist Skoll, Luke Radowski, Servando Gonzalez, and more. Buy your copy of Shade the Motion Picture DVD right now at shadethemotionpicture.com.
Unbound Radio, your source of truth in a society of lies.
Welcome back, folks. Don't forget the website, www.thefreedomlink.net. That's www.thefreedomlink.net. Email address, info@thefreedomlink.net. If you'll notice, on the front page of Unbound Radio, up at the top, we have a banner offering subscriptions to our new subscription service that has a private chat room. It'll eliminate all your trolls. And high-quality archives. Not to mention it will make you eligible for members-only contests. It's a great way to meet and network with new people. So consider purchasing a subscription today. I think it's only like $6 a month. They have different packages, but you'll find that it's very affordable, a very small price to pay for some great features here at Unbound Radio. Joe Joseph here, along with John King. Before the break, we were just talking about, demoralization, how they can get away with making people think it's okay or that they're required to obey unjust laws. And it really has to do with the demoralization of society. And John, you brought up a great counter argument on the television thing. And I'll go out on a limb and I'll say this. A television network, a television station is a privately owned entity. And that privately owned entity should be able to air whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want. And it should be your choice whether or not to watch it.
Absolutely. And if you don't watch it, the sponsors lose money, so the sponsors don't sponsor the television show, and the television show goes goodbye. But in reality, Joe, the most popular television shows in the United States are the more raunchier ones. So therefore, the same old tired argument from the same old tired people, I guess the Republicans didn't get, that's why they lost the election second time around,
right,
was people were tired of the same old argument over and over and over again. If you're going to keep arguing the same point, we're just going to shut you off.
And it ends up being like a supply and demand thing. You know what I mean, John? As far as that, there is quite a demand for raunchiness, for filth.
Oh, absolutely.
There's
it's
a hell of a
ingrained
demand.
into humanity.
Right.
It's ingrained into humanity because we've been taught all these years that it's taboo. And what does everybody want that the most? Things you can't have, or things that you're not supposed to have, or things that are illegal or contraband, because the danger is there. There's a different sense to it. There's a
but again, though, but it also goes to show you demand is high because demoralization is high, because there is not that moral compass that used to exist in decades past, or even 20, 30 years ago.
That's because the society has been depraved for so long. If you go over to these European countries that show breasts on television and say these words on television, and some societies, such as France, where it's totally permissible to even have a mistress, for goodness sakes, this type of stuff doesn't even faze them. Why does it faze us over here? Is because we've been ruled by the moral, I guess you could say, the moral right for so long, and society has become depraved. That's why.
Yeah, but if
I think there's a lot of teenage.
Let me interject there. You have some good points. Now, in Europe, yes, you can see nudity and everything like that over there. It's commonplace, been for a long time. But Europe is also one of the most socialist, one of the most a socialist type of government, one that, in order for that to happen, in order for you to get communism and socialism, demoralization has to occur first. And so, yeah, of course, there are a lot.
Sorry, friend. No, wait a minute. I very much disagree with that.
And
you can still have a moral society and have that.
I don't. Well, here's the thing.
Free and open.
Well, if you look at some of the testimony from, and I can't remember, Yuri somebody's, it was a KGB agent, and he talked about how that was the ultimate plan for America, and that's part of the KGB's plan was you had to demoralize it to bring in this socialist agenda. And, Putin, of course, one of the big players in the KGB back in the day, and now rules Russia. But the fact remains that if you don't have a moral compass and your ability to discern right from wrong is impaired, then how, John, do you make the decision whether or not to follow an unjust law?
Joe, you don't have to demoralize a society in order to make it into a socialist society. All you have to do is dumb them down a little bit.
Yeah, and give them some.
Because isn't it everybody's responsibility to take care of those who can't? That very aspect of the strong taking care of the weak and nullifying the survival of the fittest and letting the weak survive is the core element of socialist society. And if that is the case, then they know better.
Yes, but in this country was founded upon the principles of personal responsibility. And you know something? If that's the case, there were charities that were set up prior to all the social welfare, the welfare state, before that was put into place, that took care of things just fine. You know what I mean? And there probably was a little bit to be desired, but at the same time, it wasn't bankrupting this country. Now, as far as things like Social Security, that's a benefit. That's something you pay into, and that's something that you should be able to get a return on, unless, of course, a lockbox is raided and there's a bunch of IOUs in there.
Joe, let me throw this out there. The politicians love to play word games, and they got to do away with these entitlements. Why? Why do they say entitlements? Because you are entitled to it, like Social Security.
You pay
like
into
unemployment. You paid into it. It's yours. They didn't give it to you of their own free will. You paid into it, therefore it's yours. Right. I don't want anything more than what's mine. Give me what I'm entitled to, and nothing more.
Amen to that, brother. And the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because Wired.com today wrote a piece, Government Seeks to Fine Companies for Not Complying with Wiretap Orders. Yes, folks. Now, all this stuff happens behind the scenes, but you have to remember, before you hear about this has been going on for a very, very long time, and companies have given the finger to the federal government saying, oh, hell no, we're not doing this. It says it isn't often that communication companies push back against the government's request to monitor customers and hand over information about them, but a government task force is seeking to make it even harder for companies to say no. The task force is pushing for legislation that would penalize companies like Google, Facebook, and Skype that fail to comply with court orders for wiretapping, according to the Washington Post. John, do you think that it's any coincidence that Microsoft bought out Skype? I mean, think about it.
Microsoft Microsoft being very much a part of the military-industrial complex, and many of the people that we speak with, we use Skype to communicate with.
Sure.
It's a very good chat program. We use it to log on to the server to do this program with. So if they're able to take over Skype, and trust me, they screw with us hard now.
That's right.
If they're able to take over Skype, they'll be able to do whatever they want. Shows like this that bring you the relevant information that you seek could very quickly go bye-bye. They're loading the bases. If CISPA doesn't pass, we can do this.
That's right. According to the Washington Post, the cost of noncompliance would be an escalating series of fines starting at tens of thousands of dollars. Fines that remain unpaid after 90 days would double daily. Unlike telecommunication companies that are required under the 1994 Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act to have systems that are wiretapped enabled, some internet communication methods, such as social networking sites and online gaming sites, aren't easily wiretapped and are not required to enable the capability under CALEA, and that's the acronym for it, CALEA. Companies that argue, hold on one second, Johnny, companies that argue that they don't have the means to enable wiretapping have avoided complying with court orders seeking real-time surveillance, and the legislation is intended to force these companies like Skype to find the technology solutions that would enable real-time surveillance.
Okay, Joe. Here's the deal. Say I'm Verizon or I'm Roadrunner, whatever. It's a popular national cable service. And you as the government come to me and say, King Cable Limited, we want information on Joe Joseph. And I tell you to go get bent. So you fine me, and after 90 days the fines double, and they double, and before long, my fine on Joe Joseph is $10 quadrillion.
Right.
So now all I got to do is file for bankruptcy and apply for a bailout.
But would those fines be like? But would those fines?
Companies themselves, Joe, are too big to fail as well.
Right, but
if the banks can be too big to fail, then so can the cable companies because our infrastructure relies on them.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with you there. But in terms of fines, I wonder if they would treat it much akin to, let's just say, a tax lien. A tax lien, bankruptcy doesn't apply to. If you owe back taxes, you can file bankruptcy all you want. You still can owe back taxes. If you have student loans, you can file bankruptcy all you want. You still have student loans after you file bankruptcy. Those don't go away. Consequently, I don't think the fines would necessarily go away. Now, here's the thing. There is technology called legal intercept, and Microsoft reportedly applied for a patent in 2009 for this technology that would have the ability to secretly monitor, intercept, and record Skype calls. And they filed for the patent before it bought Skype in 2011. So, you think it's any coincidence why Microsoft bought Skype? Obviously, it was a bone of contention because the government couldn't monitor it as easily as they could a cell phone or a telephone or other transmission mediums that already have built-in wiretap capability. So, here you have companies now that, although Microsoft, Google, and Facebook, obviously they're going to comply when they're in the hip pocket of the federal government. But there are different companies out there, like, say, Uvu. Now, Uvu is an alternative to Skype. What happens when they don't comply? Well, it's an easy way for Microsoft to weed out competition because they're in cahoots with Big Brother. Hey, no problem, Big Brother. We'll monitor it all you want. But Uvu over there, they're not cooperating. Why don't you go harass them? So they're basically, John, getting the herd all through one gate. They're just kind of getting they're bringing the herd around and forcing people to use certain mediums of communication and taking out the competition so they can easily monitor everybody. Very, very interesting strategy.
Joe, if you go to a popular website to get free downloads like downloads.com or CNET Central, someplace like that, you put in browser, you're going to come up with not just Netflix and Firefox and Google,
right.
Chrome. You're going to come up with hundreds of alternative browsers, many of which aren't monitored and have the same technology as the popular ones do. I say if you don't want to be monitored as you would as if you were using a Google search, then go use an alternative search engine like Dogpile
Dogpile's a good one.
Or something like that. Something it's still going to give you the same results, folks. I mean, that's what tags are for. That's what meta tags are for. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles as the big ones do to make it more attractive.
That's right. Now, when we come back from break, folks, we're going to get into a couple of different things. The first thing is SHTFplan.com has a great piece today. The crisis is imminent. When the real crash comes, it'll be worse than the Great Depression. Going to get into a little bit about some of Peter Schiff's predictions and what we might be able to expect here in the days and weeks and months and years ahead. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't go away.
Get ready for the epic new documentary adventure ride of your life. Shade the Motion Picture. Hub you into the globalist domain. Annabelle's and Burma's film.
Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. Governments do not operate the way you think they do. Banks do not do what you think they do. The police department is not here for what you think it is. Nothing in your world works the way you think it does.
We have to let them know that their world government has been identified, and they thought they'd include the world economy, bring in a worldwide police state, but instead it's going to bring them down.
You have to stand up, speak up, speak out.
Shade the Motion Picture. Order your copy of the DVD today at shadethemotionpicture.com.
Are chemtrail geoengineering programs changing our weather and destroying our environment? Why in the world are they spraying?
They want to create a storm in the southeast, then they'll start engineering out over the North Pacific. That's where the trades will be.
Find out why critics are calling Why in the World Are They Spraying the most important film that is revolutionizing the environmental movement. Go to whyintheworldaretheyspraying.com for more information.
It's just going to get worse until the point where we're not going to be able to grow anything at all unless it's a Monsanto genetically modified abiotic stress resistant seed.
Why in the World Are They Spraying? New international version with languages available from around the world. Go to whyintheworldaretheyspraying.com for more information.
It's all about money, and weather is another form of commoditizing, a way the Central Command Group can commoditize another form of our life.
Why in the world are they spraying?
And if you control the weather, you're going to control the planet. It's that simple.
IntelliHub.com, just the website you were looking for to get all of your news from. Whether it be health, science, geopolitics, globalism, depopulation, or the ever-increasing police state, IntelliHub.com covers it all. You can expect top-of-the-line daily reports from our reporters and journalists, such as Avalon, JG Vibes, Shepard Ambellis, Derek Bros, Servano Gonzalez, and more. Check out IntelliHub.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Intelligence Hub. IntelliHub.com.
Dominating mainline funded lies and propaganda with truth, knowledge, and perseverance. Unbound Radio. Educate your mind.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Freedom Link right here on Unbound Radio. Joe Joseph here along with Johnny King.
Look, Joe, I just have one question. Do you find yourself playing the air guitar on some of these intros?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was, you caught me. Folks, I'd like to invite you to visit va-soaps.com. That's Virginia Soaps and Scents. Right now they're running a special free shipping on orders of $50 or more, and their retiring soap scents are only $3.50 per bar. They also have a wide array of different products, all natural, so you don't have to worry about any chemicals or things like DEET for mosquito repellent. They have 100% natural bug repellent, all that kind of stuff. Virginia Soaps and Scents, that's va-soaps.com. And very good friends of the Freedom Link, and hope you support them and their efforts. If you get a chance to go there, you can read into how they do it. It's one family operates out of their garage, and they make a ton of stuff, fantastic stuff.
Hey, folks, let me just say this. Like you just said, they're a family. They're not Walmart. So when you purchase from them, you're helping the inner economy. You're not helping some 6-year-old kid pour soap molds over in Bangladesh or China. You're helping an American family.
Yep, they're a homeschooling family with 9 children. 9 children. And they all work as part of this business. So if you ever get a chance, visit there today, va-soaps.com, and I think you'll find their story pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
Now let's get back to business, shall we? Because we are definitely not miserable enough. So let's dive into more crappy news.
I believe I was in the middle of kicking your butt intellectually.
Oh, and it was very good. Thank you. The crisis is imminent. When the real crash comes, it'll be worse than the Great Depression. Now, this is Max Alva reporting of SHTFplan.com. And he starts off with a quote from Peter Schiff in August of 2006. He says, quote, "The United States is like the Titanic, and I'm here with the lifeboat trying to get people to leave the ship. I see a real financial crisis coming for the United States." He said that in August of 2006. Remember at the same time, John, when the fundamentals of the economy are sound. How many times did you hear that on the news and and not believe it for a second?
Joe, did you step in something? Because I smell BS.
Yeah, for real. In 2006, when he faced off with well-known titans of investing and warned about the impending financial disaster and economic collapse, Peter Schiff was laughed at by his colleagues. He urged Americans to exit financial markets and take steps to protect themselves before the wealth held in their savings accounts, retirement investments, and real estate was wiped out. Few listened. We know what happened next, don't we, Johnny?
Absolutely.
Now those same financial experts who publicly vilified Schiff for his prediction 6 years ago are at it again. Many, including our politicians, central bankers, and leading economists, have unequivocally stated that the worst is behind us and that a global recovery is on the horizon. Again, the fundamentals of the economy are sound. Now, this is what Peter Schiff has to say, because once again, he disagrees. He says, quote, "I think we're heading for a worse economic crisis than we had in 2007, Schiff said. You're going to have a collapse in the dollar, a huge spike in interest rates, and our whole economy, which is built on the foundation of cheap money, is going to topple when you pull the rug out from under it." Schiff says that despite phony signs of an economic recovery, the cancer destroying America stems from a lethal concoction of our $16 trillion federal debt and the Fed's never-ending money printing. According to Schiff, these numbers are unsustainable, and the Fed has no credible exit strategy. He says eventually interest rates will rise, and when they do, stocks will tank and bonds dip to nothing. Massive new tax hikes will be imposed, and programs and entitlements will be cut to the bone. John, your thoughts?
Well, Joe, I am in agreement 100%. However, I think they're going to keep the game running as long as we keep one of the two criminal elements, Republican or Democrat, in office.
Absolutely.
The day we put a third-party member in office is the day they begin to crash the system so that they'll have someone else to blame.
Well, we'll see. When we get back, we'll talk more about Peter Schiff's predictions as the Freedom Link returns right here on Unbound Radio. Don't go away. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
For hundreds of years, an elite group of oligarchs have ruled the land, fueled by a legacy of sex, money, power and greed. In the last 60 years, their power has become more consolidated as they have become more organised. Their own white papers and other documents show the diabolic plans they have in store for the population. Shade, the motion picture. Order your copy of the DVD today. ShadeTheMotionPicture.com.
We all know the importance of having storable foods, but what about when the food runs out? What then? For real food independence, you need a supply of non-hybrid seeds. Introducing the Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com. The Survival Seed Vault is sealed for freshness and includes 20 varieties of easy-to-grow non-hybrid seeds for only $37.95. For less than $40, you've got real food independence. And the Survival Seed Vault includes detailed planting and seed-saving instructions. Imagine the barter power you'll have when the food supply does collapse. Right now, save $9 instantly when you buy 3 or more Survival Seed Vaults from MyPatriotSupply.com. Same-day shipping on all orders, plus free shipping on orders over $49. Call 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Or discover more emergency preparedness products at MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
Get ready for the epic new documentary adventure ride of your life. Shade, the motion picture. A view into the globalist domain. An Embella Suburban's film.
Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. Governments do not operate the way you think they do. Banks do not do what you think they do. The police department is not here for what you think it is. Nothing in your world works the way you think it does.
We have to let them know that their world government has been identified, and they thought they'd include the world economy, bring in a worldwide police state, but instead bring them down.
You have to stand up, speak out.
Shade, the motion picture. Order your copy of the DVD today at ShadeTheMotionPicture.com.
IntelliHub.com, just the website you were looking for to get all of your news from. Whether it be health, science, geopolitics, globalism, depopulation, or the ever-increasing police state, IntelliHub.com covers it all. You can expect top-of-the-line daily reports from our reporters and journalists, such as Avalon, JG Vibes, Shepard Ambellis, Derek Bros, Servano Gonzalez, and more. Check out IntelliHub.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Intelligence Hub. IntelliHub.com.
Did you know that you don't have to be in front of your computer to listen to Unbound Radio? Now you can listen to Unbound Radio on your smartphone. Just download the TuneIn app at your Google or Apple store and do a search for Unbound Radio with preset, and you can take Unbound Radio with you anytime, anywhere. Unbound Radio on TuneIn, your source for truth in a society of lies.
Feeling stiff? Time to unwind. Get Unbound. Unbound Radio.
Folks, if you want the inside story on what really happened, take a trip down the rabbit hole with Popeye every Monday to Friday from 10 to midnight. The most compelling 2 hours in radio, guaranteed to show you a side of the Matrix that you never knew existed. Down the rabbit hole with Popeye on Unbound Radio. And tonight I'll be joining Popeye on his broadcast, as 1 hour just isn't enough. I'm a glutton for punishment. What can I tell you? So I'll hang with the poopster coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern. That's right. Okay, getting back, Johnny, to our conversation about the economy. Schiff says the crisis is imminent. I don't think Obama is going to finish his second term without the bottom dropping out, and stock market investors are oblivious to the problems. We're broke, Schiff added. We owe trillions. Look at our budget deficit. Look at the debt to GDP ratio, the unfunded liabilities. If we were in the Eurozone, and the Eurozone, folks, is crap, it's bad, they would kick us out. I mean, it's that bad. Put it in perspective for a second. The Eurozone's requirement by the Lisbon Treaty is to run a debt to GDP ratio of less than 3% per year. 3% or less, that's what you're supposed to run. No more than that. And, well, we do it about 42%.
We live on credit, Joe. We have to have those things that shine and go bling bling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but dude, I mean, think about it. Most credit cards out there, you don't typically see a limitless credit card. You know? It's like, where's the limit? You know who imposes the limit, folks? We do. Very interesting. You know, the House of Representatives has the power to defund things. If they think that it's unjust, if they don't agree with it, they can have a vote. They can vote to defund it. You know, Obamacare. They want Obamacare repealed. First thing you do is you defund it. Then you work on it. Well, why can't we defund the federal government? I mean, look at folks. They're obviously irresponsible with the checkbook. This is the same government that just last week went and repealed the insider trading law that they passed to prevent Congress from conducting insider trading.
Joe, I can answer your question is why don't we defund the government? My personal, because everyone's answer would have to be personal, my personal answer would have to be because although I'm sure Abdul is one hell of a guy, I don't want to be cellmates with him.
and therein lies the problem. Because you don't have enough people doing it at the same time to overwhelm the people they have in place that oppress. To have your strong arm, their strong arms, you know, they can go and break the legs of a handful of people, but you get 1 million people. You get 2 million people. You get 10 million people doing it at the same time. You're going to get attention. And let me tell you, folks, they cannot survive without that income tax withholding out of your paycheck. They can't do it. That's really all it would take. All it would take, really, at this point, just think about it, John. What if people decided to maximize their withholdings simultaneously? Not totally take it away. Let's just say they cut it in half. We're going to cut what we give the federal government in half. And I'm going to take that second half, and I'm going to put it in escrow.
Oh, so you put it in a bank.
Yeah.
Which the very entity for which is causing all the problems in the first place.
Well, no, you could put it in the let's just say the United Bank of John King, which could be under your mattress. It could be in a safe. It could be anywhere. But you know.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about First National Savings.
No. But when I say that, I mean you could do that. You could put it in an interest-bearing account, maybe a credit union. Or something like that if you wanted to, or you could just put it in your safe, put it under your mattress, do something, but have a way to show, hey, look it, Your Honor, I've got no problem paying my taxes if my government was responsible with it and if did what they were supposed to do by the Constitution, but unfortunately, I can't fund criminality and thievery. I can't do it. I am morally opposed to it. Therefore, The money's sitting there waiting for them. All they got to do is come correct. And if they come correct, there you go. Problem is, they ain't going to come correct. So we're going to have to force the hand. That's the way it is. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And you want to know something, folks? You know what you can't have if you want to force their hand to make change? Can't have fear. Can't be afraid to sit next to Abdul in the jail cell. You have to make the efforts and do the things that are going to force change. And again, while an endeavor like that, you need a lot of people or a lot of public awareness in order to advance a cause like that. There are things that you can do, that one person can do, that can affect change. And we've seen it happen here on the Freedom Link. We've seen it happen outside of the independent media, where one person has gone and affected change for the whole country. So there are definitely things you can do, but one thing you can't do is sit on your butt. Can't do it. You have to get active. Otherwise, you're going to witness the demise and the collapse of this economy. And if that's what you want, I would really reconsider your thought process, because if you've never been to a third world country, or if you've never seen an economic collapse occur, then you have no idea of the pain and suffering that's involved in it. Remember, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Ain't that right, Johnny? Unmute, Johnny.
I'm putting my words into perspective here, Joe, and I got to agree with you. The people don't affect change very rapidly, but they do affect change. Government affects change very rapidly because they have the means to do so.
Yes.
The change that they bring in is like our founding fathers created a fourth safeguard to government. Everybody's aware of the judicial, the legislative, and the executive, but not too many people are aware of the process of jury nullification.
Oh,
it's true, it happens, and it's absolutely there, but the schools don't teach it. Right. Now let's take that one step further. Schools today are not teaching cursive. Now, everybody wonders why. Why aren't they teaching cursive? Johnny King thinks he knows the answer to that.
What's the answer, Johnny King?
What language is the Constitution written in?
English.
Cursive.
English. Cursive's not a language. Oh, you just got owned.
Well.
You just got owned, baby.
To this hillbilly, it is a language.
It's kind of funny, you know, when I do my Bible study, John. The King James 1611 is written in that older English style writing. So, like, you know, yeah. So instead of like Congress, it's Congref, because S's were F's at the time. But same thing, same point. That style, it's very hard to read because they don't teach that stuff anymore. Same thing here. If you don't understand what the original and how to read the original documents by our founding fathers, then they can manipulate it to say anything they want, and you're going to buy it hook, line, and sinker because you don't know any better.
And I'm sure when the press came along and people invented the letter S and they didn't have to use F, they were still using the same old argument that we were demoralizing society by putting two extra letters in or an extra letter in the alphabet. Why, if you put two of them together, it looks like they're spooning, Joe. At least if you had an F in there, that F got an arm out stopping the other one.
Boom. Peter Schiff continues. He says, the Fed knows that the U.S. economy is not recovering. It's simply being kept from collapse by artificially low interest rates and quantitative easing. As the support goes, the economy will implode. Absolutely right. Think about it, Johnny. On average, the Fed is printing $85 billion a month and buying up crap is basically what it is. Their balance sheet is ginormous right now. And the only reason why you don't have hyperinflation, we have inflation running at about 11 to 14% a year. If you calculate it the way normal folks would calculate it, which is by going to the grocery store or paying your electric bill or filling your gas tank. You know more than anybody else, all of you consumers out there, that inflation is there and alive, well, and kicking and healthy. But hyperinflation hasn't occurred. Why? Because all of the Western economies, folks, are printing money like it's great, like it's going out of style. That's what they're all doing. So if everybody's doing it, then there's no, I guess the whole thing's going to implode at once, or maybe it never will. Think about that, John. If everybody's just printing money recklessly, then how can anybody implode? They're all doing it.
That's a good argument, Joe. However, I must say that anything built by the hand of man can be broken by the hand of man.
For real. You know it. Now he continues, he says, his recent warning, however, has been even more alarming. Will they also prove to be true? In his recent book, The Real Crash, How to Save Yourself and Your Country, Schiff writes that when the real crash comes, it'll be worse than the Great Depression. Unemployment will skyrocket, credit will dry up, and worse, the dollar will collapse completely, wiping out all savings and sending consumer prices into the stratosphere. Let's take it a step further. The London Telegraph came out, and one of their headlines is, quote, "There will be more wealth confiscation without a doubt, as savers and investors face further wealth confiscation in Europe as the continent struggles to resolve the single currency problems," a bank chief has said. Let me tell you something. When it all comes down to it, Johnny, there is, yes, is there a currency problem? Yeah. Fact of the matter is, they're salivating over these retirement accounts, over these savings accounts, because that is like the last bastion. They've already looted and plundered us to the point where we're pretty much just like, we got our pockets inside out and the moths. You open up your wallet and moths fly out. But the retirement accounts, in the United States, I want to say it's about $16 trillion alone just in the United States in retirement funds. Oh, really? Ooh, we could do lots of damage with that. And that's what they're looking at doing, John. They are looking at looting and plundering this. They've wanted to do it since 1994. Probably before that, Johnny.
Well, Joe, they can fund the empire on $16 trillion at least for 10 years.
Yeah. They can do something.
At the current rate they're going now.
Don't think they won't for a second, but here's the second thing. This is why this will be worse than the Great Depression. Self-reliance. People's ability to provide for themselves. People's ability to adapt and overcome. People's ability to prepare for disaster or for unforeseen circumstance is severely impaired. Because they've lost all of the skills that people in the generations of the Great Depression had. Things like canning food. How many people out there really know how to can food? A percentage to the population. Not many.
And when you pull the feathers off a chicken, there aren't two different kinds of chicken, crispy and extra crispy. That's not like, doesn't work like that.
Very good, John. Very good.
And that extra drumstick in there, it's not a chicken from Fukushima, trust me.
Yeah, for real. So, folks, when we come back from break, we'll wrap up this riveting conversation that Mr. King and I are having tonight. And then we'll pass the baton off to Popeye. And then I will be joining him on his broadcast as well. So sit tight, stay tuned. We'll be back in 3 minutes. You're listening to the Freedom Wave, Unbound Radio. We'll be right back.
For hundreds of years, an elite group of oligarchs have ruled the land, fueled by a legacy of sex, money, power and greed. In the last 60 years, their power has become more consolidated as they have become more organised. Their own white papers and other documents show the diabolic plans they have in store for the population. Shade, the motion picture. Order your copy of the DVD today shadethemotionpicture.com.
In an emergency situation, would you drink contaminated water? You could if you had the amazing LifeStraw from MyPatriotSupply.com. LifeStraw is the most advanced personal water filter available today. It filters contaminated water from almost any source. LifeStraw is lightweight and compact, perfect for hiking, camping, or in an emergency like a flood. LifeStraw is easy to clean, comes with a 1-year warranty, and has been used worldwide since 2005. Get the amazing LifeStraw personal water filter at MyPatriotSupply.com. Plus, check out Survival Seed Vault, 20 seed varieties for only $37.95, Tatler canning lids, long-term storable foods as low as $69.95, and much more at MyPatriotSupply.com. Enjoy stress-free shipping on all orders over $49. Call 866-229-0927 or visit MyPatriotSupply.com. That's 866-229-0927. MyPatriotSupply.com for emergency preparedness, self-reliance, and food independence.
Get ready for the epic new documentary adventure ride of your life. Shade the Motion Picture. Hub you into the globalist domain and embellish and Burma's film.
Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. Governments do not operate the way you think they do. Banks do not do what you think they do. The police department is not here for what you think it is. Nothing in your world works the way you think it does.
We should let them know that their world government has been identified, and they thought they'd implode the world economy to bring in a worldwide police state, but instead it's going to bring them down.
You have to stand up, speak out.
Shade the Motion Picture. Order your copy of the DVD today at ShadeTheMotionPicture.com.
Did you know that you don't have to be in front of your computer to listen to Unbound Radio? Now you can listen to Unbound Radio on your smartphone. Just download the TuneIn app at your Google or Apple store and do a search for Unbound Radio. Save us as a preset, and you can take Unbound Radio with you anytime, anywhere. Unbound Radio on TuneIn, your source for truth in a society of lies.
We bring Unbound Radio to life.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Rise so high, so far to fall, the planet dignity and balance for all. Political breakthrough, euphoria inside, more power, money, more power time.
Folks, for one of the most dynamic personalities in independent media and a hard-hitting broadcast that exposes the corrupt and nefarious forces that seek to loot and plunder the people of the world, tune in to Mr. Kenneth Webb, Change the Channel show, weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Unbound Radio. And I don't know, folks, if you've been tuning in to Kenneth's broadcast, but I'll tell you what, he is just phenomenal. So if you have the opportunity to tune in Monday to Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., please do, because he puts out a broadcast that's really second to none. I mean, he's a class act, and we love to have him here at Unbound Radio. Joe Joseph here. Oh, go ahead, John, please.
Yes, thank you. Here, keep the change. Yeah. He puts things into perspective. He puts it right out there for you in your face, and he's one of the few hosts that I admire and listen to.
And boy, I'll tell you what, that bar's set pretty high in the world of John King. Indeed. Now,
and he leaps it with very little effort.
Getting back to this article about the imminent crisis, Peter Schiff talking about it, he says, we must understand that none of the fundamental problems leading up to 2007-2008 financial crisis have been resolved. If anything, it's gotten worse. Our politicians will not change, and therefore will change nothing in Washington. Wall Street is as corrupt as ever. Our central bank continues to devalue our currency. There's no end in sight for these people, and they'll continue on this unstable path until we as a country finally hit the proverbial brick wall. As Peter Schiff notes, the destruction to life as we know it in America and the world is imminent. it's going to be severe. So much so that the government has been simulating the collapse of our financial system, the collapse of our society, and the potential for widespread violence. A collapse happened in 2008, but the collapse is still ahead. And I think he's absolutely right. Now, again, folks, is it any coincidence that at the same time, they're not only simulating this, but they're also buying rounds like it's going out of style, and MRAPs, and FEMA camps? You think that all this preparation is for naught? You think they're just doing it just as, like, oh, maybe infrastructure development, yeah. And no, the militarization of the police, local, state police, oh, no, that's all right. That's just for your safety. No, it's because they needed a way to get a military-style body in place that they could do that without violating posse comitatus, because if you violate posse comitatus, then you're going to have a bunch of people up in arms. But see, doing this is kind of like quasi-covert. Not for us, the people that are paying attention, but for those that aren't. Oh, why those crazy terrorists? Our police need the tools to be able to fight them. Yeah. That's what they need, right, John?
No, what we need to be able to fight them is an election, because it's our elected officials that actually are the cause of what's going on.
So how do you overcome the Diebold voting machines then, John?
Demand to go back to a paper ballot. Get rid of the voting machines. They've been proven that they're hackable. Google the movie or go to YouTube and watch the movie Hacking Democracy, and watch the very people that program those machines tell you that they can be hacked.
Oh, absolutely. Bev Harris did a great job exposing the election of 2000 and 2004, and has been integral. If you can go to her website, blackboxvoting.org, and you can find all of the incidents of voter fraud and manipulation. And don't think for a second that it can't happen on paper ballots, because it most certainly can. However, not as widespread and not as untraceable as these electronic voting machines. The electronic voting machines, John, are seriously the bane of the election process. Go ahead.
Well, it makes it much harder when you go on paper, Joe. Now what they want to do is they want to be able to vote online. So now they can tell who you voted for, and if you don't vote for the right guy, Emperor Ming will be down to get you.
John, did you supersize that value meal? No! Oh, wait. You can't supersize a value meal in America these days, because guess what? They don't let you do that. They've taken that choice away from you. As we wrap up tonight, Johnny.
In New York they did, didn't they? I can still go to Wendy's and Biggie size it.
Biggie size, but no supersize. No, sir. If you go you remember McDonald's?
Thing.
No, you remember supersize, right? Now you can't go to McDonald's and get a supersize. No, you have to get the large. You can't get supersize. Oh, well, that makes you too fat. Well, look, if I want to be fat, then let me be fat. Hey, if I pay for my own health insurance and I'm not a ward of the state, I can be as fat as I want. Just the way it is. But, again, it's all in the way we think in this country. People have to snap out of the matrix. They have to start thinking for themselves and take personal responsibility. And with that, it's my personal responsibility to tell you to stay tuned for Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye, coming up after this brief message. Johnny, we'll see you tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Bye.